Welcome to the Sharkpreneur podcast with Kevin Harrington and Seth Greene. Kevin Harrington is the inventor of the infomercial, one of the original sharks from the hit TV show Shark Tank, and has generated over $5 billion in TV and digital direct response sales. Seth Greene is the world's first trusted authority on cutting-edge direct response marketing, a best-selling author, and the only 3-time Marketer of the Year nominee. On the podcast, Kevin and Seth interview sharkpreneurs who share straight talk on what it takes to explode your business.
49 faces looked to him in triumph. Over the last 12 months, they had each taken turns and promoted his business for a week at a time, driving over $987,342 in revenue. What if you had a network of 50 centers of influence who promoted your business every week for a year? Grab your copy of the #1 Amazon best-selling book, The Ultimate Guide to Growing Your Business with a Podcast, at 33% off the Amazon price by going to ultimatepodcastbook.com. Again, that website for 33% off the Amazon price is ultimatepodcastbook.com. Welcome to the podcast. This is your host, Seth Greene. Today, I've got the good fortune to be interviewing Brent Couture from Couture Law. Brent, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, no problem, Seth. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Let's go back in time a little bit. What inspired you to go to law school in the first place?
Well, my wife is actually an attorney. She was an attorney when I met her. I met her just out of law school, and she was talking smack, and I said, "Well, what do you know? It's not so hard to be a lawyer. You just got to fill in some bubbles on a Scantron test." And she said, "Oh yeah, well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is?" So I was wrong. It's much harder than that. And but that was kind of the inspiration, and quite honestly, we wanted to work together. And it was, I mean, that was over 20 something years ago, and I'm glad it worked out. We were able to work together, raise our kids, and put the insurance companies in their place.
That is definitely the most unique how I became a lawyer story I've ever heard, and I've interviewed hundreds of attorneys. So putting that aside, what inspired you, or how did you get to the area of practice that you're in now?
Again, it's really comes down to, my background. My background was really in, way back, I was an athlete in college, and then obviously as an athlete, I used to see all kinds of injuries, with other athletes and my teammates and whatnot, and then my sales background as well. It's just kind of more of a people person and not really a documents and contracts type of an attorney. So I really wanted to work with people and do what I could to help them get through some of the most difficult situations that they're ever going to face in their life, which are crises with your health.
Was there an early case or an early client that kind of also cemented your idea about this area of law?
I don't think so. It's not any particular client. It's every client. I mean, the big cases, the small cases. I mean, the small cases where, thank God, they're not incredibly and permanently injured, but, just the accident alone, if it puts a little cannonball, I always call it like a cannonball in a pond, where it hits the pond and it just creates ripples as far as the eye can see, and that's what these kinds of things do to people's lives, even the small ones, that all of our lives are busy enough. We're just busy trying to go to work and earn a living and support our families and get our kids to school and do those things. And all of a sudden, an accident comes out of the blue, and now you've got to go to the doctor 3 times a week. Now you've got MRIs and X-rays to take. Now you've got therapies to perform, even in the most, even in the smaller accidents. So, I see what people go through, and they've never been through it before in their life. And, we can help guide them through it. Their only other alternative is to be guided by the insurance company adjuster who's going to, you know, guide them right into oblivion.
You are in an area of law where law firms spend millions or tens of millions of dollars screaming from billboards and TV about their billion-dollar verdicts. What does good representation really mean to you beyond the final dollar amount?
Well, everything I just said, I sat in my conference room today and I handed out two checks to my clients, one for $100,000 and one for I think $51,000. And both of them said the same thing every single one of my clients has ever said, even my clients who I've given millions and millions of dollars to, is they said, I would gladly give this money back if this accident would have never happened. And uh, again, that goes for the big ones and the small ones.
Couture Law emphasizes a personal, client-centered experience. How do you make that real when someone first calls on what could be one of the worst days of their life?
You listen. You listen. No one else will listen to them. If I got in an accident today and I tried to talk to my kids about it, they wouldn't listen. They're busy with their own lives. Everybody, my family doesn't want to hear it. Nobody wants to hear your problems. I mean, in reality, but that's why they call us because they need help and we listen and we do want to hear their problems and we want to help them get through it because that's what we do. That's why we're here.
Are there common mistakes people make in immediately after an accident that can complicate or mess up their recovery?
So many, so many, and really the first catch-all is not getting proper representation. Again, with the person that I was just sitting with today, I was handing her a check. I was explaining to her how, well, she was lamenting about some of the mistakes that she had made in her case that we had admonished her for. And they weren't big mistakes. That's just what we do with every case. We encourage them to do the right things and help them build their case. But I was explaining how I had a lady sign up recently who had tried to handle her own case for about 2 years and was being led along by the insurance company who just said, yeah, go ahead and treat and just let us know how things are going. And so they took the insurance company's word for it and tried to work things out on their own. 2 years later, they called the insurance company like they were instructed to and let them know how things were going and said, hey, how about the money? And the insurance company didn't want to pay. And now this person walks into my office and we're going to do everything we can, but in the last 2 years where they've been trying to handle it themselves, they've missed certain doctor's appointments. They haven't received the right treatment. There's a lot of notifications haven't gone out to the health insurance companies. It's a little bit complicated, but first and foremost, the biggest mistake is not getting great representation right from the beginning.
When someone comes to you with a potential claim, what are the first things you need to understand?
Well, every case is liability, causation, and damages. So, we need to understand all those things. What happened in the accident? Um, were you injured? And we need to understand whether or not those injuries were caused by this accident, or they were pre-existing, or you had pre-existing conditions of some sort, like we all do. We all come to the table with something else going on. That doesn't preclude you from making a claim because those injuries can be exacerbated by the accident as well. So we need to get into all of that, your prior medical condition and what happened in the accident and how you're feeling. And a lot of times those things aren't as easy as it sounds. I mean, even just the question, how are you feeling and what's going on? If you ask almost anybody, what's going on? How you feeling? Their first answer is always, I'm okay, right? Because like I said before, nobody wants to hear your problems. And if everybody that asked us, how you feeling and how are you doing, and we told them, we wouldn't have any friends, right? That's so we're conditioned to say, "Oh, I'm okay, everything's fine." So it really takes some needling from an attorney like me to really get to the bottom of what's going on and what could be the cause. Because really, sometimes the most valuable and the most dangerous injury that people have isn't painful. Frequently, it's the opposite. It's numbness. You see, we get nerve injuries where, if you injure your back or your neck, you can experience numbness and tingling into your extremities, and it doesn't hurt. So people blow it off. They think, oh, my hand just fell asleep. Oh, my foot's just asleep. But really, what that is are your nerves dying and potentially permanent nerve damage down the road if it's not properly treated. So, you really have to dig that out of people because they focus on what really hurts, and that's not always the most important thing.
It's definitely that's fascinating, and you're right. There are lots of people just answer I'm fine or I'm good or I'm okay. And then there are people we all have in our lives who were like, we
Yeah.
don't ask because we know they're gonna tell us a lot
Right, right. That's true.
about that. What do you wish more people understood about their insurance coverage before something like this happens?
Well, especially here in Florida, um, there is no requirement in Florida for the for anybody to carry insurance for the injuries that they cause to other people.
Wow, wow, that makes me glad I live in
Yes,
insurance ridiculous New York State.
yes. The minimum requirement in Florida is that you carry $10,000 of personal injury protection and $10,000 of property damage. Meaning, if I crash into you and I injure you badly and I injure myself in the process, I carry $10,000 of coverage to pay for my own doctors and not for yours, even though I caused the accident. So you have to be responsible for yourself and carry your own underinsured motorist coverage. You have to, especially in Florida where, oh, and one other thing. So that minimum, that 10,000 PIP and 10,000 bodily injury, insurance agents like to call that full coverage. Okay, think about that. Full coverage, they interpret for full coverage to mean the state's minimum requirement. But let me tell you, there's no such thing as full coverage. It can get more full. You can have $1 million and have a $2 million umbrella on top of that. It can still get more full. So there's what I wanted to know is full coverage is a lie, and you need to cover yourself with underinsured motorist coverage.
That is incredibly valuable and important to know. What questions should someone ask before hiring a personal injury attorney?
It starts right from the beginning. Are you actually meeting with your attorney? I mean, I tell people when they look to hire a law firm, if their first meeting is not with their attorney, to stand up and walk out of the office because it's the attorney who's going to argue your case. It's the attorney who has to tell your story, who has to tell the jury, tell the insurance adjuster, tell the opposing counsel what it is in your life that you've lost and why this is causing you, the suffering that we're claiming. And the attorney needs to know that. And if they don't sit down with you and listen and learn who you are, and I mean, I need to know my clients' routine. Are they picking up their kids? Do they take care of their elderly parents on the weekends? Do they have to travel, to see their kids, in college and now they can't travel anymore? These are the things that you need to listen and learn the whole story so you can tell the story of what they've lost.
Wow, that is very in-depth and emotional. You've helped so many families through this. What's your biggest challenge now?
Well, I mean, we're always, uh, I mean, we're going through a challenge now, which is just recently Florida has instituted a new tort reform, and it has really damaged the ability of Florida residents to make claims against the insurance companies. One of those things is that they've shortened the statute of limitations, which is the time that we are allowed to file a lawsuit after an incident, from 4 years, and they've cut it in half to 2 years. And why that matters is because we're making claims for medical care, and medical care takes time. And we only get one chance to make a claim, and it has to be for all the damages that a person has suffered. And we have a hard time realizing the entire breadth of those damages within a 2-year limit. Meaning, if you get hurt, the first thing they want to do is, get some x-rays, get some MRIs, and send you to physical therapy. Well, there goes 4 months right there, maybe more, maybe 5 months. You call a specialist, they're booked up, another 2-3 months out. You're getting close to a year before you've even seen somebody about the serious injuries that you've suffered. And then you've got a year to kind of treat for that. So it goes real quick, and that's something that we're dealing with now after Ron DeSantis passed that tort reform law. It's really impacted the way we practice and really the way that our clients have to treat.
Your passion is obvious. What do you like best about what you're doing?
I just love helping people. Like I said, I gave 2 people some pretty good sized checks today. Not life changers, but I've given some people some real life changing checks. And what I really enjoy, I mean, even to this day, there's a couple of brothers that were in an accident, and we got them a great result. And they took that money and they started a barber shop down the street. And they are some of my best referrals. I mean, they give me some of my best referrals, and those guys are great. And it's great to be able for someone to start a new life. I mean, there was a gentleman, was a truck driver, and we got him a really good settlement. And all he wanted to do, he wanted to buy a tow truck and start his own business. And he was able to do that after our case settled. So, things like that where people can really, they have aspirations and they've got dreams, and we can help them get there even after turn something bad into something really good. I mean, those are great stories.
I was going to say those are beautiful. Well, we know your time's incredibly valuable. We greatly appreciate you spending some of it with us. For our folks in Florida who want to learn more, where is the best place for us to send them to learn more about you, your wife, and your wonderful firm?
Yeah, obviously they can give us a call anytime at 1-888-HIT-BY-CAR, or visit my website at www.couturelawoffices.com.
All right. This has been Seth Greene with Brent Couture of CoutureLawOffices.com. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. Brent, thanks again for joining us.
You bet. Thanks, Seth.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Why do so many businesses struggle while others seem to explode overnight? Do you wish you had the secret to this type of exponential growth? Now, I've scaled more than 20 businesses to over $100 million, and it's not just luck. In my new book with Mark Tim, Mentor to Millions, you'll learn the repeatable framework I use in all my business ventures for massive success. Order at kevinmentor.com and get over $1,000 in bonuses. Head to kevinmentor.com.